Hi there, welcome to the Teeny Tinkers channel. I make ball-jointed doll and craft-related content. This is the fourth installment of my interview with the artist series, and today we're talking with Monique Sutton from Monique Xplorer Dolls. Hi, Monique.
Hi, nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you, too. So, right away, tell me about you and your dolls.
Okay, I'm a doll sculptor, a BJD sculptor from New Zealand. I'm one of the only ones that I know about in New Zealand. I'd love to know if there are more, but yeah, I got into BJDs a few years ago when I found out about minifees. So for a while I was into Monster High dolls and I would do face-ups on them, and then from there I found out about BJDs and I was like, I want one. And I definitely wanted one, but I was like, they're so expensive. And so I designed my own one and started sculpting it. This is Rain. But yeah, she's a MSD size doll. She's about 42 centimeters tall. She's the first doll I ever made, and I kind of just had to, because I didn't own one at the time, I had to basically just troll the internet. Not troll the internet, I looked at everything I could find based on how they worked. I didn't even know how joints worked. I didn't know that they were hollow. I just had to look up everything. But yeah, it worked out all right, I think.
What are some resources you used for somebody who's never actually held a BJD? That must have been quite challenging to make your own. I'd love to know kind of what you were referencing.
Yeah, so one I found quite good was when I found out about color dolls. The video that Delightfully made on YouTube, where she went in depth and looked at all the parts of the doll. I rewatched that 5 times. I knew color dolls weren't company dolls, like a minifee, but she had sculpted it herself, and so I was like, how do you do that? And so yeah, I liked that video. I looked at lots of pictures where people were comparing different ways that different companies did their joints, and I was like, oh, they don't do them all the same, that there are different ways. There are single joints and there are double joints, and I just learned so much in that first time. So the drawing that I made, because I highly recommend making a blueprint if you're gonna sculpt your own doll, the joints are basically all different from the drawing that I first made, because I figured out what I needed to do and what I wanted it to look like while I was going, which took longer. I think that it's better to figure out what you want to do first and then start making your doll. Yeah.
Absolutely. So when you did get started making your doll, what kind of materials were you using?
I was using DAS clay, DAS. It's a kind of paper clay, and I think there are better options out there. Lydon or Lydon, I don't know how to say it exactly, but Lydon clay. Apparently, I can't say whether it's any good because I haven't used it, but apparently it's a little bit smoother to use. Mm-hmm. And it basically depends what you can get in your country, I think, because people in America, I think, are pretty lucky.
Yes.
Lots of supplies around, but me in New Zealand, I just had to go by what I could get in New Zealand because I didn't want to pay heaps for shipping every time, because you use quite a lot of clay when you're making dolls. So yeah, DAS clay, tin foil in the middle to make the joints and all the bits hollow. Yeah,
I've used Lydon, Lydon. Honestly, I also don't know. Clay, we do have that in Canada, so we're very fortunate that way. But I did find it very nice. I've also used DOS. I'm not super experienced, but I think you can make just as good of a doll.
Yeah, that's interesting. I thought that it was significantly better, but maybe it just depends on the person's sculpting ability. Maybe it depends on when they take pictures even, because they might make something and then have already sanded it down and it looks smooth before they take the picture. I'm not sure. Yeah.
It could also be the method of sculpting, because some people will do sculpting, and you'll sculpt the main thing and you try and get it to look as close to the final product as you can, and then other people myself, will make a weird shape and then you kind of carve it away. So were you cut it down or like make it the way you wanted it in the first place type sculptor?
I think I was a definitely make the shape that I wanted and then sand and add little bits of clay over time. Yeah, good or bad way. You just do how you feel works for you. Yeah.
So how did you get started with sculpting?
I looked at tutorials and I saw that you should make them hollow, so I started making like a base out of tin foil of each of the different pieces. So I did arms together, torso, each leg. Some people make the whole body together and then cut it up, but I didn't do that. I didn't know that you could. And then I added clay, sanded, so much sanding, and then eventually started priming. But I feel like I started priming too early. So a good thing to do is wait until the last possible moment. Like basically have your doll ready and it's as smooth as you can get before you start priming, because you waste so much cans of primer otherwise.
Yeah.
And it's expensive. Yeah, just wait, hold off a little bit, because yeah, I spent so much money on primer.
I totally feel that. It could feel so exciting, like feeling like you're at the priming stage, only to find out you put that first coat of primer on and you're like, ooh, actually it wasn't as smooth as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, she lumpy, yeah.
It's a little lumpy. Maybe we should have held off a little bit. So on your, like, kind of getting your doll the shape you want and all of that, your dolls have really interesting, like, hip shapes and especially eye shapes. Can you tell me a bit more about how you chose the styles for your dolls and how you, like, came up with their look?
When I first drew up my blueprint, I looked at, I took a lot of inspiration from a painter that I really like. Her name is Kelsey J. Beckett, and my dolls don't look anything like her paintings because obviously they're still my style, but the lip shape, I took screenshots of some of her work and like looked at just the lips, or I looked at just the eyes, and she paints a lot of more realistic but slightly stylized girls. So I took a lot of inspiration from that and basically just went with what doll would I like to own. And yeah, ended up with Rain. I do think she looks different to how I drew her. But yeah, and then I also have Thistle here, but she doesn't have eyes at the moment because she's just clay on the inside and eyes just don't stick to clay. But this is her. She has more narrow eyes and she has elf ears and she has a different lip shape. But for her, I drew a drawing and then made her, and she didn't look anything like the drawing. My sculpting skills weren't up to scratch at that point, because I started making her head at the same time as Rain. I just finished her a lot later, and I completely changed her. I sanded her lips all the way down, changed her eye shape, and everything. So if somebody is making a doll that they're not happy with at the moment, nothing is reversible, like nothing is irreversible, I should say. You can change in everything. So if you're not happy with something, you should change it, because that just means that you're not quite finished yet. This will be Thistle's first pre-order this time, and this one will be Rain's second pre-order, but it'll also be her last. I think I'm going to move on to different dolls. They'll have the same body, because I've been making little modifications over time. So I have this first one that I made, but this next one that I'm doing the pre-order with now has different knees. They're a little bit more stable, look better when they're bent.
Yes.
Different bust size. So
I saw that you were sculpting shoes too.
Yeah, so the shoes are what Thistle are wearing. So I made them as if they're like feet. So they're like on, because she doesn't have magnetic feet.
Mm-hmm.
But she has little sneakers, and they have like lines and hearts on the bottom. So they're actually going to be like event shoes. So if somebody orders the doll within the first week or 2 weeks, depends how many orders I get, then they'll get these shoes for free, as well as normal feet and everything.
Oh, those are so cool. I don't often see, except for outside of like mini fees, really see sculpted footwear. I'm very excited to see that you've done it. Love that. Something else I really love is, while I can tell that both dolls were sculpted by you, they are both distinctly different. They look like cousins of the same family. I really, really love that, like continuity of style in the dolls.
Yeah, I tried to make them unique, but also I can't help but add my own style to it. Yeah, I kind of feel like, because I love fantasy, I love everything fairies and elves and mythological, so I wanted to make a doll with elf ears, and that just happened to be Thistle. So I feel like Thistle is almost the cousin who got abducted into like the fairy world and or something like that. But everyone can obviously have their own story for their dolls if they buy one. Yeah,
totally. So while you were sculpting either of your dolls, what kind of snags did you run into? Any issues or anything you wish you had known when you first started?
I think that the biggest issue that I had, the biggest challenge I faced, was definitely the knees, because they're so important. They're holding the whole doll up, but they also hopefully look good when bent, and so when the leg is bent. So I think I sculpted 3 different kinds of knees before I finished, 3 different kinds of knee joints, like peanut double jointed knee joints, before I came up with these ones that she has now. But even in the end, I wasn't super happy with them. As you can see, like, they're quite small. Or maybe they're not super small. They're still okay, but that's why I remade them. The knee joint is bigger now, so I feel like it looks a bit better when bent. Yeah, that's something that I struggled with quite a lot. And so any tips I have is to make your joints out of wooden beads or something that you can make circular. Because I just made them out of clay myself, and so I was constantly finagling and sanding and in the knee joint and the knee sockets, and it just was never perfect, and it took so much effort. So I feel like if I just made them out of wooden beads like I did for every other joint, the knee joint was the only one I didn't decide to do that, and I don't know why, and I feel like it would have been so much better.
It's a really good tip, and you can get wooden beads in like basically every size. They're super accessible, even to us who don't live in the US. How have people reacted to your dolls so far?
It was really good. So I haven't had any bad experiences, which is really nice. When I was doing Monster High dolls and doing their face ups, I did sell a few, and I had some bad experiences, and so that really made me almost not want to have a pre-order, but I'm glad I did, because all of those experiences were really good. And so I had an in-stock sale. It wasn't quite a pre-order that time. I ordered 10 dolls of different colours, 3 different colours I should say, and I kept 3, one of each colour for myself, and then the rest I sold, and I sold all of them. Yeah, I think people are happy with them.
So this pre-order coming up is fully pre-order. It's not an in-stock sale, right?
Yeah, so that was me trying to ease my way into doing pre-orders. So I did an in-stock order, which I found a little bit like that was within my comfort zone, but this time I feel ready to do a pre-order. So that's why. And I have to use a different caster this time, because last time, this doll, for instance, is casted by Haru Casting, but he's too busy this time. And so
here he gets quite busy.
Yeah, so I've asked Resin Soul to cast my next pre-order, and they're going to color match. I have specific colors that I want this time. So it'll be purpley blue, because she's more of a minty green, and so it'll be purpley blue, a darker brown this time, and a peach, a light cream color. Those will be the colors this time.
That's very cool. I didn't actually know Resin Soul did casting.
Yeah, so Sleepy Dolls cued me into that, Count Choupie. I think Count Choupie was casted with Resin Soul, but I could be wrong. But she said that her experience was really good, so yeah.
That's cool. I've heard Resin Soul has really good customer experience. I mean, that's really cool to learn that. So can we get some more details about the pre-order? Like, what's the pricing look like? Are layaways going to be available? And when does it start?
Yeah, so it starts on September 6th in New Zealand time, so that might be September 5th, depending on where you live. And she'll be, I always put my prices in New Zealand dollars because that's easier for me in terms of exchange rates. And she'll be 650 New Zealand dollars, and stringing will be an extra $50.
It looks like a strung doll will be about 490 USD.
And it goes for 4 weeks. So the pre-order's going until October 1st, but the shoes are only available for the first week.
That's very cool. That's a nice long pre-order period that really gives people kind of a chance to get in and get the doll.
Yeah. And I feel like with some pre-orders are open for, say, a week. That's okay. I think that's an okay amount of time. But I'm fine with it being open for a month. I've usually had layaway up to like 4 months, but I'm pretty flexible. It depends on people's circumstances. They just need to ask me.
That's awesome. So if anyone has any questions or they want to learn more about layaways or the dolls or any of that, where can they go to chat with you or to learn more?
I'm always on my Instagram, Monique Xplorer Dolls, and the Explorer doesn't have an E at the start. And I'm always answering questions, comments, anything. My DMs are always open.
Awesome. So I'll link those below. Everybody, this should be posted on Sunday the 5th. So that might mean the pre-orders today. If you're seeing this the day it comes out, go check that out. Everything will be linked below. Thank you so much for coming and chatting with me today, Monique. It was so lovely to talk to you and to get to know you and your dolls a little better.
Thank you for having me. This has been really nice. I love talking about sculpting and dolls, and I always want to help if people have questions about sculpting and how I did this. And I don't really have many people in real life who like dolls, so it's been nice to talk to you. It's been really good.
Is that not the most relatable thing? If you're interested in more videos like this, there are a whole playlist. I'll also link that below of interview with the artists. You can get to know more about all the artists I've spoken to and their creations. And as always, I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.
Bye.